So, Dmitri Tymoczko, thank you so much for being with us and for agreeing to speak to us at the Center for Interdisciplinary Studies.
My pleasure. I'm glad to be here.
Okay. Well, so we wanted to take advantage of you being in Coimbra for the Mathematics and Computation in Music conference, and we'd just like to talk with you a little bit about the work you do, a little bit of your academic and artistic path, and especially considering that we are a Center for Interdisciplinary Studies, and you being, you're wearing multiple hats, the composer, performer, you also have training in philosophy, mathematics, and so I wonder if you could just tell us a little bit about who you are, how do you see yourself, and where you're coming from.
Sure. I grew up doing music, but I don't think I'm a natural musician. Some people speak the language of music very fluently, whereas I think I learned music as a second language. And so I'm always thinking about what it means to make music. And for me, I'm naturally a intellectual person or a person who wants to figure out how things work. And so I ended up being someone who both does music, but also thinks about how music works. And you very generously listed all of these different things I do. The one thing I would add to it that is new now is programming, where I'm using computers and doing computer programming for a considerable amount of my time. Mm-hmm. I would say I got into this business because I think that 20th century composers sort of faced a really difficult question, which was how to write music when you distrusted the traditions and the conventions of the earlier century. So I think a lot of 20th century composers thought a lot about music in an interdisciplinary way.
Interesting. Just a moment ago, you were telling us a little bit about how traditions, especially in the American academia, have been trying to be freeing themselves from certain, how they say, gridlocks or whatever, conceptual gridlocks and also artistic gridlocks. And can you tell us a little bit about how your path, you're a famous professor at Princeton, but can you tell us a little bit about how your path influenced the way you think, influenced the way you are transmitted?
Well, I mean, everybody wanders along their own crooked path. In my case, I played guitar when I started by playing classical piano, but I never really liked classical piano, partly because nobody ever told me how the music works. So they just said, press these keys now. And they didn't really say anything about why the different notes had different meanings. So I switched to guitar, and I was really interested in the more experimental or intellectual sides of popular music. And then I got to college, and I decided, I've always been a good student. But when I went to college, I decided I didn't want to do math or science or physics. I loved music. I realized when I was a senior in high school that I had spent all this time in calculus class learning how to find the slope of a curve, and I never wanted to find the slope of a curve, whereas I liked playing my guitar. And then I got to college, and the music that my teachers cared about and loved was totally different from the music that I cared about. And that began, I think, a lifetime of trying to figure out how to resolve this dissonance between the music that was celebrated academically and the music that really made me feel happy. And I think that got me, that's ultimately been the question that has guided the rest of it.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell us a little bit about, because you've been at Berkeley, Oxford, I believe, right?
Yeah.
And now you're at Princeton. Can you tell us a bit about how do you think you combine all of these different hats? How is your research interdisciplinary? There's math, there's philosophy, there's programming.
That's a great question.
That?
Yeah, I think maybe the philosophy is the secret key that